Hello there, everyone, and welcome in. This is Aaron St. Dennis, the FF Mad Scientist, and welcome back to the Mad Science Lab podcast. Today, we are back with some more sleepers, breakouts, and bust action. And here to help me out with that today is Tracy Gilroy-Norton. That's a mouthful. I'm used to screwing up pretty much every name I pronounce.
I know you are.
I'm happy I got through that three name. Welcome to the show. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having you.
You want to take a second here to promote yourself? Tell everyone where they can find you.
Sure. Mainly at the minute, it's Twitter. It's GG_FF bots for the Battle of the Sexes, which you can check out on my feed if you want to try and enter or get your name in for next year. It's basically 6 men versus 6 women on a division, so it's pretty cool. Very excited to beat the men. There is one podcast up so far. I will shoot the link out because I haven't figured out how to do a specific name without paying a buttload of money for it. And I'm going to get a blog up there within the next day or two. I started writing a blog on stacks because everybody gets on my ass about my stacks. So I'm going to, defend myself a little bit. So
what are you trying to do what are you trying to do without paying?
You know how, like, instead of having random letters and numbers at the end of your blog, you can, so it's like says your name, but I just don't feel like paying for something else,
Bitly.
Oh, all right. I'll check it out.
Yeah, BITLY. That's what I use. It's free. It shortens it up. It allows you 20 custom ones per month, and then you would have to pay. But unless you're producing a podcast, every single day, I think I pay $5 a month, but I'm doing one every day. Even that, like I said, I don't think I shorten all my links. So, but
nice. Thank you.
Well, yeah, you're welcome. That is the way to go.
Community comes through again.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into it. One of my favorite players that I've cooled on this week. It was very depressing for me because I loved your sleeper, Tennessee tight end. If it'll load, there we go. Chigo Okonkwo. Fantasy Pros projection has him as tight end 11. Obviously, no rushing stats projected. Not a big rusher. He's a tight end. Projections are 46.2 receptions, 572.5 receiving yards, and 3.7 receiving touchdowns. Love this guy. DeAndre Hopkins rained on my parade. I had him stashed everywhere. Picked him up on waivers in every single dynasty league and thought I was a genius until that bloody DeAndre Hopkins ruined it all for me.
Tell me about it.
Why is he a sleeper for you?
Well, because everyone overlooks him. No one talks about this kid for some reason. And he had 7.5 targets or whatever. He's not too far behind Ayuk. I think he didn't really get a chance to kind of do his thing, obviously. And this year with the team that they have, yes, he's going to kind of be going up and against Hopkins and all that. But I still think he's going to get a decent amount of touches because they're going to see just how good he is. I'm hoping he doesn't come out and do the typical Zach Wilson, and kind of screw it up or get the butterflies because it is an NFL game. But I think this kid's got it. Like, look, his arms alone, come on, they're the size of footballs.
They are. Yeah. I liked him coming out of college. Size and athleticism. That's what I go for in tight end, and he has it. That's why I was on him so quickly. I don't think I drafted him in any rookie drafts, but anytime I had an open roster spot, I picked him up. And then by the time he finally went off, maybe mid-season, I pretty much had him everywhere already. People couldn't understand. Say, why the hell are you picking up that guy? And then 6 weeks later, they're like, you were way ahead on him. But
exactly.
Yeah. That offense is really confusing for me. I'm not sure. Like, I get he was a part-time player for the majority of last year. I definitely still think there's a potential there. Hopkins, sure, it's going to take some targets away.
Absolutely.
I'm blanking for
No-brainer.
Treylon Burks. There it is. I'm blanking on his name for a sec. I don't think Blurks. I can't even talk. Burks, I don't think is a target monster. I think he's more
either.
like a
I think
gimmicky
he's
Debo type.
Yeah, exactly. Yep,
But so
exactly.
I think, I think best case scenario here, I know it's going to sound terrible because it's a rookie. If Will Levis gets in, tight end checkdowns go through the roof. And I think that really works out well for him. So I tight end 11, I think is low. I don't know under this offense with these weapons around him, if he has top 5 upside this year, but I definitely
Not this year, I don't think.
Yeah, I like him higher than tight end 11.
I do too. Yeah, definitely not, way up, but I think he's definitely a few spots lower than he should be. But we'll see.
Let me bring him up here on the ADP. I was happy when I said sleeper Chigo Conquo. This is like my recurring nightmare. I'll say, and her first sleeper is this guy. And then I realize I've written it wrong. And you're like, no, you idiot. You just said 3 nice things. And that's my bust. It's happened once before. And it's like my recurring nightmare where I got the wires crossed up and I spent 3 minutes promoting the guy that they hated. So he is going
Makes
exactly.
For good debate anyway,
Yeah. He's going exactly as tight end 11 on Fantasy Pros. 111th overall is pretty much free. You see across the board, he's 11th, 12th, pretty much everywhere. Yep. So I would be interested. Oh, it's Fantasy Pros. I should have gone to NFC. Fantasy Pros doesn't have a date range. I would like to
see what it was like.
I'd like to see what it has been the last. How long ago D-Hop signed? 10 days ago, you think? 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, probably. It was like 13 or 14 days ago.
Today's the 30th, so let's make this the last, 10 days here. We'll take a look and see what his ADP is since then. Of course, because I'm on the show doing this live, it's going to take forever. Oh, you see he's I guess he's only 12. So the last 2 weeks he's dropped to tight end 12, and he's dropped about a whole round in the draft, maybe 13 picks. So people still aren't cooling that much on him.
No.
But he's in this kind of, I see everyone typically has a top 7 here that they like. And then after top 7, 8 to like 15 for tight end, it's kind of just whoever your guy is, take your guy.
Yeah, because honestly, the tight end spot is my most hated spot. It's almost like if I don't get a good one right off the bat, I just wait until the very end and hope that somebody unless like, for instance, he comes up and kind of drops in at the right time, because I'm not going to reach for somebody like him. But, I just, tight ends are just not doing it for me.
I've always liked it. I've had good luck, though. I either get the high-end tight end who produces, or I've been able to identify the underrated guy who produced, at a much better level, with the exception of last year where my guy was this guy right here, Cole Kmet, and he put up 0 points through the first 4 weeks of the season. Yeah, he killed me. And then the funny part is right when I was forced to drop him for Will Dissly, who was had a pretty good start to the season. Then all of a sudden Kmet was useful again, and I had dropped him everywhere because I don't carry 2 tight ends and I had no choice. So fucking Cole Kmet.
It happens all the time. And I'm like, I'm not going to bet on him tonight. And then, they throw up like 3 touchdowns. Really?
Yeah. All righty. Let's bring up your breakout. Another one I'm on board with here. I like him. Although I'm hoping that all my drafts are done by the time this episode drops, because I like to steal Kenny Pickett late.
I know, me too.
Is Pittsburgh quarterback Kenny Pickett. Fantasy Pros has him as QB 20 this year. Projections are 3,318.4 passing yards, 17.5 touchdowns to 12.5 interceptions, 420.6 rushing yards, and 3.6 rushing touchdowns. Why is he a breakout for you?
To me, he's top 7. I just love this guy. I think that I think he has a great arm. I think he's one of those guys that can look downfield and see who's, he doesn't like hesitate. There's so many of them that just hesitate, and it drives me crazy because clearly you can see. And with the line that he has numerous choices to throw to. I mean, he's kind of spoiled for choices a little bit, I'm hoping that the other guys actually do well. But I'm not saying that they're the top team by any means, because I still can't stand them as a team. But as a player, I think he's great, especially because nobody thinks to pick him up. So I always get, a good wide receiver or run whoever's there, and then I just pick him up, like steal him, just like my other pick, Taysom Hill. But I don't want to say that too loud. I always pick him up because everyone overlooks him, and he's just ridiculously stupid to overlook because of the point that he puts up.
I do not own any Taysom Hill.
What?
I am a New Orleans Saints fan with a Taysom Hill jersey. The first year he came out and was like a part-time player and was doing kickoffs, I thought he was the greatest player I'd ever seen. I loved him. I bought a jersey of him. It is hanging in the closet next to me. The second Drew Brees retired and they attempted to make him a full-time player, I can't fucking stand him.
He's one of those for you, huh?
I'm not a fantasy, I don't care fantasy-wise. Fantasy-wise, he pisses me off. My cousin had him, and I don't know, it was a big money league, and he had another tight end, and he messaged me who he should start. I told him the other guy. Sure enough, Taysom Hill puts up 42 that week on his bench, and then does nothing all season. But no, the second they put him in the lineup, he fumbles the ball 2 out of every 3 plays. It's like touchdown, fumble, touchdown, fumble. I can't, as a Saints fan, I can't fucking stand watching him. It frustrates me to no end. I can understand that, though. I can understand. Just get him off the field, but that's a personal, actual football, not fake football. So we'll get back to Kenny Pickett, who I love. He is in this quarterback 23 range here on NFFC. I don't have a whole lot of them in single QB because normally I'm not drafting a QB that far down the board in single, but we go the exact opposite way in Superflex. I have him everywhere. Like Scott Fishbowl, I love what I did there. I believe I paired him with Deontay Johnson at the 7, 8, or 8, 9 turn. And I find in drafts, I've managed to do that with either him and Johnson or him and Pat Freiermuth in the late rounds. Exactly. And I love it. It's a cheap, underrated stack. And I don't have, I have a couple of shares of George Pickens that I drafted, but I love George Pickens. Oh, I loved him coming out. I was all over him. I was the George Pickens guy. I'm slowly thinking he might just be a flashy, all sizzle, no steak kind of guy.
I know. I'm getting worried. So I started, I fall into the habit of, blinders where I kind of can't see anybody else but my favorite players. And I'm trying, not to do that. I'm trying to kind of differentiate it because it just makes no sense to keep picking the same ones over and over.
That's what I've done the last a year or so. Back when I'd get take lock. This was my guy in the draft, and I'd love him, and he would be up until the day he retired, he would be my guy, even if he sucked. But now I find him going the opposite way, where because he was my guy, I'm judging him more harshly now, and I'm turning on him quicker because I think it's like, oh, okay, well, the nice, the OBJ one-handed catches are awesome, but they don't really get me extra fantasy points, and he doesn't really do anything. And for me, I think the reason I've soured on, I don't know how we got into Pickens, but the reason I've soured on Pickens this year is he's going so close in ADP to Deontay Johnson. And I think Deontay's just a much better bet at that ADP.
I agree. Yeah.
Because I just want to chase the volume. But
he's nice to have and pick up on a late round if you can, because he's going to throw up points. So,
yeah. As I was saying, do I have the ADP up? Yes, I do. Pickett is 23 here in a range where I like him. Not a fan of Jordan Love.
No.
Stafford and Murray both have serious injury concerns that scare me.
Yep, me too. I don't have them.
Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, I think probably will be better than Pickett, but not this year. I have no interest in them this year.
That's what I was saying, and everyone was getting on my ass. I agree. I think Stroud's going to be great, but not this year.
I don't even know if Stroud's going to be great. I just think Stroud to me has Kirk Cousins written all over him, and Kirk Cousins right now is better than Kenny Pickett. I don't want rookies in redraft this year. Brock Purdy, I don't know if anyone realizes this. He was Mr. Irrelevant. They won 8 of his 9 starts last year. I don't know if anyone watched those games. They won the starts in spite of him. He was Jimmy G. They won because the 49ers defense and the rest of their offense was that much better than every team they played. It had nothing to do with Brock Purdy. He's not that good.
He's not, which is why he's only going to be in for however long, and then he's going to be gone.
Then, like I said, we get Desmond Ridder, Mac Jones, Jimmy G. Like, these are all dart throws here. So the last of the really realistic quarterbacks is around 18 or 19. And then we have, if you've missed on quarterback there, which is how I ended up on Pickett and Scott Fishbowl, I took Mahomes at 101, and then everyone was gone by the time it got to me. Then you get to a range here of like 15 quarterbacks, and Kenny Pickett, I think, is the only realistically good one. I mean, Stafford and Murray will be good if they stay healthy, but I'd rather just take Pickett.
Murray, I am not a Murray fan at all.
I'm not either. He's proven it if he's healthy, but I think Pickett's a safe QB, high-end QB2 at worst case scenario.
Yes, exactly.
Alrighty, let's get to your bust. Who is it? I know it's someone that I didn't like either.
Oh, nice.
Oh, it is my least favorite. I'm going to end up on a rant here. Her bust is San Francisco wide receiver Deebo Samuel. Currently ranks as wide receiver 16. Fantasy Pros projections, 258.8 rushing yards, 2.5 touchdowns, 70.9 receptions for 902.1 receiving yards, and 3.9 receiving touchdowns. Before we get into why you don't like him, I'm going to bring up the sole argument that anybody needs. If I could find the fucking screen. Sorry, actually, let me find it. Well, you tell me why he's a bust for you, since I can't find this damn thing.
Well, because, I mean, if you take a look at what his fantasy points were from like 21 to 2022, they're ridiculous. It's like, what, I don't know, 4.52, or I think that's what I have written down.
Yeah.
But he's getting like 4.5 targets a game. He's everyone loves him because of his name, and I think he's way, way above where he should be. I don't think he's going to do even as well as he did last year, and last year was crap, and the year before that wasn't much better. He's all talk. I think he's conceited. He talks a big game, and then he goes out there and he doesn't produce anything, and then he blames everyone else for not producing anything. He drives me nuts as a player and as a person. I can't stand him.
Here was the argument for me. These are Fantasy Pros current ADP. He is wide receiver 16. Let me scroll all the way down here. Wide receiver 29. His teammate Brandon Ayuk, who outscored him easily last year. The problem I have with this, I don't even know if it's necessarily a hatred for Deebo. It's the Deebo to Ayuk cost ratio here. Deebo is living off of one good year where he did everything to cash in a bag of money, and then has made business decisions ever since. Brandon Ayuk had 1 year where he was a rookie and was in Kyle Shanahan's doghouse, and nobody has ever forgiven him for it.
Exactly. I actually had this conversation the other day.
13 receivers, and we go from pick 39 to pick, where the hell was it? 39 to 71. Why are we going, what's that, 31 picks later, 32 picks later? I don't get it. Ayuk's the better receiver. And then in the games where everyone's on Purdy, the games where Purdy played, Deebo was the one who was least involved out of Deebo, Ayuk, and Kittle. I don't get this whatsoever.
I don't either.
There's simply no outcome where he's a top, top 20? He's up to 16.
He's better than half of those people underneath him. He's just not. And this year will be the year that everyone realizes that, I think.
I've said that. Oh, I've got to transition that screen over. I still have the fantasy. I'm talking about something and I don't even have it on the screen. Let's bring up the NFFC ADP here. And this is another one I say. The Cliff, I think, top 15 wide receivers, we go from, God level to elite level. 15 seems to be the cutoff for me as the last truly outstanding one, DK. Then you see Deebo, and there's a whole, he's the Cliff. But I don't
understand how he's under DK.
But he's 16 here if you look down, I think I did this before on a previous series. I get all the way down to like Kadarius Toney at 36 before I find a player that I would take him over. Like I would take Cooper, Allen, Judy, Hopkins. I'm not high on Cooper. I'm not high on literally from 17 all the way down to 28. I'm not high on any of these guys. Like I like Lockett and Ayuk and Johnson. 30, 31, 32. I love these three here. But from 29 to 17, I'm not high on any of these guys. I would take every one of them over Debo. And they're all like, some of them are 2-3 rounds later. I don't get why we do this with Debo.
I don't understand. And I mean, it's great because those people that I call the normies that just go in and do the highest ADP, they put everybody in a list. Ugh, I hate it. But anyway, they're going to pick him. So by all means, take him because you are picking somebody that you're just picking because of a name and, a fake ADP because it's not coming true.
But it's one good season of production, and for the rest of his life, for our career, we're going to do this with well, look at his upside. What is he going to do? I was thinking about this the other day. At some point, someone's got to come up with rankings. Like, I know it seems everyone now is drafting. We draft based on upside. Why? Why do I want to draft Debo on his upside when the 90% likely outcome is he comes nowhere near that freaking upside? What good does the potential of his 2021 season have if he never comes anywhere even close to it? I'm completely out on Debo.
And in the same respect, how we were saying, that he's in the doghouse, and because the 1 year he came out, and it happens with so many players. So they come out, they drop it twice, and then they get thrown out of the game, and then they get maybe 5 starts for the rest of the season. You can't see what somebody's potential is.
I don't understand why they haven't like fantasy managers haven't turned their stance on Ayuk though. Like we just assume Debo is going to be good every year after one season. Ayuk had the quietest 1,000-yard season in history last year. How has nobody noticed this? He had 1,000 yards last year.
I don't know. And he's going to do the same, I think.
I was, like I said, I wasn't even I was never a Debo guy. I was just never an anti-Debo guy. I think he's an injury risk because of the way he plays, but I don't understand this Debo to Ayuk ratio here, and it frustrates me to no end.
Me too. It pisses me off. But I mean, like I said, it's good because it means you can pick Ayuk up in a lower round because nobody else is.
It means I have no shares of Debo anywhere in any
I don't either.
I did it in, I forget what app I have, Dynasty Nerds maybe, where they go in and they show your rostership across all leagues. I think I'm into 52 leagues right now, and I believe there's only like 7 players where I own 0 shares of them, and he's one of them.
Nice.
So, I'm not a fan of Debo, but all right. Well, thank you for joining me.
You're so welcome.
Sleepers, Breakouts, and Busts with Tracy Gilroy-Norton. Would you like to take a second here again to tell everyone where they can find you?
Sure. Twitter, it is GG_FFbots for Battle of the Sexes. Look it up. If you want more information, just send me a message and we'll get it out to you.
Sounds good. Like I said, this has been Sleepers, Breakouts, and Busts with Tracy Gilroy-Norton. I got that name right 3 times, and I feel mildly proud of myself. Once again, I am Aaron St. Dennis, the FF Mad Scientist, and this has been the Mad Science Lab podcast. Thanks again to Tracy for joining me, and thank you all for watching. Take care, everyone.